Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another recap of Preacher. We're going to be taking a look at episode 8, Holes. Before we get started, again, just a little bit of update on some house cleaning. For those of you who weren't with us for the Twin Peaks recap that I did, just to give you a little background, you notice we're going with a little bit of the Preacher background stuff here, trying to make it look pretty impressive, Bleeding Cool magazines over there. So again, we're trying to soup things up a little bit. Also going to be working on the audio and video as it rolls along. So again, we are a work in progress, but I hope you're enjoying it so far. Like I always say, if you have any comments or anything like that, don't hesitate. Down below, you get my contact information on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also feel free to leave a comment. Okay, we're going to get started. Like I said, episode 8, Holes. I'm going to try and go a little lighthearted on this one, because to be honest, I found episode 8 to be probably one of the more depressing and heavy-hearted ones. I was going to start off with something like, let's play a game called Name Those Holes. But yeah, that just came across so really wrong on so many levels. So let me just give you what my overall takeaways were. First, let's take a look at it from the literal sense of holes. From the literal sense of holes, we have Tulip, who's trying to come to terms with her confrontation with the Saint of Killers by repairing the hole in the fridge, by repairing the hole in the walls, and by repairing the holes in a number of the rooms in the building when the Saint of Killers showed up. In regards to holes, also we have the hole itself in hell, that area that you don't want to go down because it's essentially your hell's hell. And also, again, I was thinking about this today too, you have the holes, essentially the holes that represent the bite of a vampire. In this case, Cassidy, with regards to his son Dennis, and the decision that he has to make. So we have some literal. When we talk about figurative, I learned a lot of directions we can go in, but I think we need to look at our main three. With Tulip, I think you have the issue of a hole in the sense of she's missing somebody that she can truly trust and open up to and bond with. And I think that's something that's playing out in her trying to become interested in what Cassidy and what Jesse are doing. But in all honesty, she's having her own issues to deal with, and she's not able to make herself available to them, just like any of them are not available to the others too, as we'll see. With Jesse, I think you have a hole in the sense of his search for God. I mean, he's searching for somebody. Let's say we're searching for someone, put in someone terms. He's searching for somebody who he still has faith in, he's still angry in, and we see later on is still praying to, even though he's praying to a God who basically is gone walkabout. And then, of course, we have Cassidy, the hole that comes from the situation of being somebody who's dealing with something that his two best friends can never truly understand or appreciate. Outliving your son, or blessing/cursing him to the life that you lead as a vampire. What we're dealing with here is we're dealing with our three main, the trifecta, the triumvirate, not on the same page, not being there for one another, and it's going to start causing problems very soon, as we'll see in this episode and leading into next week also. Okay. I'm going to talk about some of the spare parts, like I call them, takeaways, that I've gotten from it. One of my overall, that I think kind of bridges between spare parts and my overall takeaway, is the idea behind Featherstone, Hoover, who have a great dynamic, very similar to the comic. And especially when Harry Starr makes his appearance. Those holes I talked about, those are all going to be areas that the Grail can really start to use against them in each separate way. With Tulip, we'll see it later on with Featherstone. We've seen in previews with regards to Harry Starr and how he approaches Jesse. And then we also have, again, for all we know, the Grail has access to. Maybe there's something they can also offer to Cassidy. But again, I think it's going to get very interesting. Going to my handy list, as I say, because I want to make sure that I don't rip you guys off in any way, shape, or form, but anything good that may have come up. Couple things about Hell. Clearly, is no surprise in a place called Hell, no good deed goes unpunished, as we clearly see. Eugene, jacked. Whatever happened, I guess a lot of time on his hands, a lot of time hanging out, not a lot of friendly people to talk to, but dude got jacked. I don't know if there's steroids in Hell. I would assume there would be, but clearly he's got his hands on some. Tyler, again, Tyler represents my biggest, I guess, good problem I have with this, because I give Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and everybody else who's involved with the show a lot of credit, because when you can have somebody like Tyler, who I'm hating 1,000 times more than Adolf Hitler, I think that says something about the actor and the performance. I think it was very, very impressive. I mean, I really want Tyler to have his own sub-level of hell and a new layer of hell in hell. That's just how much I hate this guy right from the start. And the other thing, too, is the nun. We've seen reference to a nun who's in hell. Maybe it's just a weird thing of mine. Maybe it speaks volumes. Maybe it's worth a therapy session. I don't know. But I'm really curious to know what that nun's backstory is. Very fascinated by that. 1946, we got some Cassidy backstory. We got an opportunity for Cassidy to see his son when his son was first born and to make a promise that he would be a good father to him. And I think a lot of the issues that Cassidy has to deal with now stem from that. It's the idea of he can't bring himself to, on one hand, watch his son die, but on the other hand, can't see cursing his son to his kind of life after he hasn't given his son a decent life when he had the opportunity. Yeah, a lot of, again, that's my 10-cent psychiatric evaluation, but again, at least a good way to look at it. The scene where we get the translation of what Dennis is saying, and he's just saying, bite me, bite me, bite me over again. It's actually what I'm going with for the theme of this recap, just because I think there were a couple other lines that were also really good, but this one just really kind of drove the point home. It really just, yeah, it was one of those pause moments. Hoover and Featherstone relationship, I think, is fantastic. I think, again, it's very similar to what the comic book's like. I don't know what Preacher's anti-Blueberry cereal thing is, but I know these are the second reference to that. I don't think Blueberry's that bad, personally. It's not as good as Count Chocula or Frankenberry, but it's respectable. I'll eat it. But then again, I have a weird addiction to Saturday morning cereals. But anywho. Cassidy reacting to Jesse's denial. I think we're seeing more of separation between the three of them. The look of just disdain in his eyes towards Jesse, with that look of, yo, now you're going to choose not to use Genesis. You'll use Genesis, with Victor, and you'll use it to your own ends, but you won't use it in a situation where I need it. Now, granted, I do agree with Jesse. I don't think he should use it. I just think Jesse's approach was a little preachy and a little sanctimonious. This is New Orleans. We've seen it all before and worse. The guys at the Dork Docs at Circuit Works, does not surprise me. I've never been to New Orleans, but would love to go to New Orleans, and that's just always kind of the perception I've had of New Orleans. I think what also concerns me, too, is just how eager they were to help Jesse, even with the understanding that Jesse may be attempting to hide a murder. They didn't really seem to care. So I think after you spend all this time just kind of taking care of family vacation videos and nature shots, I think anything that's going to get you on the CSI is going to be a big bonus. Superintendent Mannering knows that one of them in hell isn't supposed to be there, and that's the reason why they get the power drain. Of course, it's hell, so Mannering's not going to do the good thing and send the person back. Mannering's going to make sure that she takes care of cleaning up any messes, so but none the wiser. Thus, the Hitler-Eugene escape plan. Probably something along the lines of the Shawshank Redemption, though I'm going to assume it's probably going to be something a little more disgusting than just, the sewer line, if you know what I mean. Sad that Eugene actually thinks he deserves to be in hell because of simply kissing Tracy. I think that says a lot for how he was raised and what he said about himself. And then they followed up with both of them singing Semisonic's Closing Time. I gotta be honest with you, that was crushing. Crushing. We'll never think of that song the same way again. Really, really effective. Yeah, that just, I make no bones about the fact that just kind of hit like a 10-ton brick. I thought it was interesting, Eugene's hell hole, or whole hell, I should say, is this idea of, in the small aspect, in fact, of Jesse essentially making out and being the one that Tracy worships. But I think it's the idea that his hell right now is this idea that Jesse is going to control all aspects of him, can take and do with him what he wants, understandably considering Jesse's the reason why he's in hell. I don't think this bodes well for what's going to happen once Eugene gets out of hell. I'm curious to see how close to the comic book they stick with, as opposed to going in a different direction. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily right now see Eugene getting out of hell is not a good thing for Jesse, Cassidy, and Tulip. Jesse's comment, and I was mentioning this before. I want to get this quote right. I gave up a piece of my soul to find you. Don't let it be for nothing. It's touching and it's heartbreaking because you have, again, a man who's praying to someone or something that's MIA, that essentially doesn't want to hear or heed his prayer, who basically wants to keep Jesse off of his trail. But even with all of this, even with the realities of what he's doing, Jesse's still looking for some kind of sense of understanding, some sense of enlightenment, some sense of what is this all about? What is this for? Why is this happening? And again, I think it this episode and that scene in particular, I think, grounds us back into the reality. We could get caught up a little too much in the slapstick of a lot of the violence and everything we've seen this season. And I think Holes did a really excellent job in grounding us back, saying, look, these people are hurting. They have issues that they're dealing with. They're trying to be there for one another, but right now they're barely holding it together to be there for themselves. Count Chocula can suck it. Featherstone as Jenny to Tulip, because let me tell you something, there is no better way to gain somebody's trust. Not only bond over kids' breakfast cereals, but to also commonly bash the one you guys don't like. Like I said before, all joking aside in that regards, it's these weaknesses that the three of them are showing that's going to make them easy prey for the Grail. And I'm curious to see how far down the rabbit hole they get before they're able to basically pull themselves collectively back together. Okay. Thank you, guys. I hope this didn't go too long. Again, as I said before, steady work in progress, but I hope you're liking it. And again, any questions or comments, hit me up on social media down below, also the comments down below. Please don't hesitate. We're also going to be doing something on this Monday, the 14th. Most likely, I think for Preacher, we're actually going to do a live tweet this time as opposed to a live blog. We're going to have some information posted up in the next 24 hours. We'll let you know where to go. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoy, and hope to join you on Monday for either live blog or live tweet of Preacher Episode 9, Puzzle Piece. Take care, folks.